Hey, what's going on, y'all? My name is Noah Hall, and I'll be doing my informative essay on who the best UFC fighter is. So, in terms of money made, Conor McGregor was the best fighter in the UFC. He earned about $39 million for the UFC, or in revenue, just from pay-per-view alone. But his net worth now is about $200 million, which half of that's from an Irish whiskey he made called Proper 12, and he sold that for about $100 million. But the best fighters in terms of skill probably are Demetrius Johnson, John Jones, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and GSP or George St. Pierre. So Conor McGregor, he had a record of 22-6, which isn't the best, but his charisma and his trash talk leading up to the fights generated a lot of hype for the fights, and so a lot of people enjoyed watching them, and they just got excited leading up to the fights. But he's born in Ireland, so he became an inspiration to many there, and eventually globally. Some of his amazing fights. So when he fought Jose Aldo in UFC 194, he knocked him out in 13 seconds, which was amazing at the time, considering Jose Aldo had an 18-fight win streak, so he hadn't lost a match in a decade. And so when Conor McGregor knocked him out in 13 seconds, people are like, "Whoa, this guy's pretty good." So another fight was when he fought Nate Diaz in UFC 196. So Nate won that first fight with a rear naked choke, and then when they fought again in the UFC 202, McGregor won by decision. And so even though he lost that first fight, he was able to come back and win by decision, and that generated a lot of money and hype. John Jones, so he's considered one of the best fighters in the world. Some consider him to be the baddest man on the planet, and he very well might be. He's an amazing fighter. But the only loss he had was when he fought Matt Hamill, and he was disqualified from that fight due to 12-6 elbows, which are legal in the UFC. But at 23 years of age, he snagged the UFC lightweight title from Mauricio Rua at UFC 128, and he won that by third-round TKO. So he became the youngest lightweight champ in the UFC, and he still is today. He's won 2 different titles at 2 different weight classes. When he fought Gustafsson in the UFC 165, that was an amazing fight. Very close fight. Jones won by a decision, even though a lot of people say Gustafsson won that fight. The judges thought differently. But in the second fight, when they had the rematch, Jones trained kind of more for that fight, and he was able to knock him out in the third round with a TKO. So that could just kind of silence all the doubters and the haters. But another amazing fight was when he fought Lyoto Machida. So he ended that fight in the second round at submission. In that fight, Lyoto was timing Jones' kicks perfectly. So whenever Jones would kick him, he'd hit him with a right cross. And so after that first round, him and his team decided to fake a kick and throw an elbow. And that's exactly what he did. And he won that fight by TKO. And he ended up finishing that fight with a guillotine. Another amazing fighter is Khabib Nurmagomedov. He is undefeated. He retired at a record of 29-0. He lost 2 rounds, and he's never been cut or bruised, which is insane. So his just sheer dominance in the UFC is amazing, and no one's ever seen a fighter like him. Just because of his wrestling, so if he was losing on his feet, striking-wise, he would just take him to the ground and submit him, and no one could beat him. When he fought McGregor, that was an incredible title fight, bringing in more than $17 million from pay-per-view alone. They both exchanged many heavy strikes, but eventually Khabib brought it to the ground, and he was able to finish that fight in a 4th-round rear naked choke. But yeah, that fight generated a lot of hype, and after he choked McGregor out, a fight ensued, and Nurmagomedov's team jumped the fence and attacked McGregor, and it was just quite the scuffle. But another amazing fight was when he fought Justin Gaethje. It was a very close fight, but again, Khabib was kind of losing to Gaethje on his feet, and so he brought it to the ground and submitted him in round 2. Demetrius Johnson, he's kind of a slept-on fighter, and so when he joined the UFC in the flyweight division, there wasn't a lot of fighters already, or a lot of champions in the flyweight division, and so the reason people don't say he's the best is because he didn't defeat a lot of champions. But it wasn't his fault. It was just the fact that his division was pretty new, and so He had 11 consecutive title defenses, and he was so good that the UFC thought about, getting rid of that division just because it was kind of embarrassing that no one could fight him. He was undefeated for a whole decade, which is unheard of. An amazing fight that he had was when he fought Ray Borg in 2017. In the second or third round, he was able to Mayer turn him and then hit him with an armbar in the air, which is insane. No one's ever done that, and no one probably ever will again. It was just insane, and that fight is showed on highlight reels to this day. Another amazing fighter is GSP, or George St. Pierre. He started training karate at age 7, and so he also incorporated wrestling into his game as well. So he changed the game of MMA when he came into the UFC. But he's lost 6 times in his UFC career, and he's had rematches for all those, and he's avenged all of his losses. He beat Michael Bisping, who is now a UFC commentator, and he's won 2 titles in 2 different weight classes, which is the same for McGregor and John Jones as well. But yeah, those are all the fighters that I think are the best. Some people may have a different opinion, but there's another fighter. But yeah, the works cited is Conor McGregor career earnings, net worth, and info, MMA salaries. John Jones career highlights, title wins to best knockouts. Dungeons chat. Who is MMA's pound for pound best, greatest of all time? St. Pierre, Georgia's The Way of the Fight, William Morrow, an imprint of Harper Collision Publishers, so that's a book. And then Bisping, Michael, and Jonathan Cowley, Quitters Never Win, My Life in the UFC. That's Michael Bisping's book. Well, yeah, thank y'all so much.